sassy, a little bit crazy, a little bit classy. We got dreams and we got goals. We're just a couple of old sassholes.
We're doing it.
Hello.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
We're doing our mini hellos. Welcome to a Couple of Sassholes podcast. I'm Brooklyn Maple.
And I'm Heather Terry.
And this is our power hour of true crime from fucked up people doing fucked up shit. And usually for no good reason or doing it really poorly and getting caught real fast. At the end of the day, we'd rather kind of see you get caught real fast.
Yes.
It's very rare that I'm like, that was impressive. They did a great job. Speaking of impressive, we have a guest today and we're so excited. We have Dave Spencer here.
Hi, everybody. Good morning.
Yay.
Or whenever you listen to this.
Yeah. Good.
It comes out in the morning.
Does
Good
it?
daytime.
Okay, well, then good morning.
Yes. Good morning.
But if you save it, if you pause it and save it for later in the day, good afternoon.
Good night. Good night, Kentucky. Heather, can you tell everyone about Dave a little bit?
I
don't think I've ever called him Dave, and I'm like, I'm going to stop doing that. I've always called him Spence.
We call him Spence. He goes by Dave Spencer. Now, Dave Spencer has been in the radio for 37 years, 35 of them here at 92.5 WBKR. He has seen it all in terms of the way that media has changed over the centuries, decades. That was his words.
Yes.
I read that and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, me and Marconi were like this.
Technology is why Dave has played music off reel-to-reel tape, CDs, and now via digital delivery. He loves watching the music industry change and teaching himself new ways to accomplish that which he needs to accomplish. Now, on to the next 35 years.
Yes.
Yes.
Heather,
Yes,
do
and
me
yes.
faves, write 124 on there, on that piece of paper, because Brooklyn decided to come today and not be prepared with any paper. I know, and I'm like, oh, I'll just take these random pieces of paper, and then
For
I was about
heaven's
to.
sake.
I know, I was about to write on them, but they all look really important, so I'm just not going to.
They really aren't. If you flip them over,
Oh, perfect.
they're blank.
Oh, okay.
So go for it. Those papers, those are all mine. So I can assure you, they're totally okay. If you want to write whatever on the back of them.
Score. Now I'm happy to know that now, 16 weeks into me not
Yes.
writing.
I know, I've always been like, we better not.
I know, because someone's going
Oh,
to
for
see
heaven's
it.
sake, we've been treating him like a Fabergé egg. Doesn't matter. Just write on the back of them.
I'm going to do it. I don't have anything to write, but I'm about to do it now.
Just write a note.
But what random stupid things are going on in this world that we feel like we should probably give our opinion to that no one asked?
Yes. What about that guy that they had to turn an entire flight around because he was farting on it too much?
I'm all for that. I've been stuck in a plane behind a passenger who shouldn't have had whatever they had before they got on the plane.
You're not wrong. That's happened to me at least once.
You know, but
Oof.
I'll be fair. I haven't flown on a plane in a really long time. In a very long time.
I don't think I would either if somebody was shitting their pants.
Do you
in
know
front of me.
anybody who has not flown on an airplane since 9/11? Since before 9/11?
My dad.
Really? It's not like I've avoided it. It just hasn't happened. It just hasn't happened. And,
Yeah.
But I flew plenty before, and I can tell you. Nowadays you can't. Nowadays it's easier to scare passengers on a plane. A lot of ever it's happened.
Apparently with your asshole. So
Yeah,
there's that.
that's terrifying.
I got something in my eye, so no one look at me.
Aw.
I'm in the center of this, and I'm over here like
None of you look at Brooklyn right now because she's
something
got
flew
something in
into
her
my
eye.
eye. I guarantee it's an eyelash, and I'm like,
So they turned the plane around. I guess they thought it was something leaking or something out of the.
Yeah,
Well,
something-
so it
yeah,
was
oh my
leaking, but not as bad as I thought. I guess.
oh my god, how mortifying!
And you're the reason why everyone's late to their vacations, etc. Because you ate a burrito or two the night before.
Or a can of Bush's beans.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah.
I must have been really bad too. I mean, sometimes you can be gassy and everything can be okay, and then other times you're gassy and it's like I kind of want to shoot myself.
Yeah.
I smell like shit.
I would have been like, listen,
Yes,
for
I
the sake
don't
of
need this. I need to, you know.
What a rough time.
Yes, I'm looking at that. Anyway,
We were talking
bless
about.
his heart, by the way.
I know.
Embarrassment plus pain.
I
Anyway,
know. I'm very curious too if like everyone knew exactly who it was or like what the situation was, because like maybe they got away with it, no one knowing that it was
Dude.
the guy in C4.
I
don't
would
know.
look so hard at the person beside me and be like, you really need to stop that. Like
Unless,
if it was you.
unless your stomach was like bubble
on the
gutting.
flip side,
Oh, yes.
now that I've thought about it, isn't it just a little bit too much jumping the gun, turning the entire plane around before finding out what it is? I mean, it is just a bodily function.
Right. You're right. I keep forgetting that they thought it was something like intense going on. Like I keep forgetting that. Like they were like, oh my gosh, there's rancid air filling the cabin. It could be that the restroom.
Well, I mean, you know, people talk about, hey, don't go in there. I just blew up the bathroom. But you really can't actually say that in a plane.
That is accurate.
Yeah.
That would be taboo.
So they should have checked first.
Excuse
We're turning
me,
the entire plane around.
Is anyone having gas?
Everyone close your eyes. Now raise your hand if you're shitting in your pants right now.
You just thought you were going to Denver. We're going to have to land this in Wichita and figure out what's going on.
Oh, my God. That's mortifying. Poor guy.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I know.
Goodness.
I also have, when we have guests on, we've had a few. We do some questions.
Go.
That I want to ask you, and you did not know these beforehand.
I didn't want to either.
I know. Good.
Yes.
So what would your death row meal be? Because we talk about death row meals all the time.
My death row meal?
Mm-hmm. Mine would be like fried food, smothered, covered, some sushi, some king crab legs. I would get sick and probably die of eating too much before. But
I would have my death row meal.
Like, ignore everything in the. I literally am having an mouthful.
I tell you what. Okay, tell you what. I would have fried chicken from Dough Run Inn, which no longer exists. But if it's my death row meal, since I know I'm never going to have one, then I can have a meal from a restaurant that doesn't exist anymore.
Yes.
I would want fried chicken from Dough Run Inn.
Okay.
I would want. You know what? I think I would want hash brown casserole from just about any restaurant I've ever had it because nobody seems to mess that up.
People love Cracker Barrels.
Yes. Well, that's a great one.
Yeah.
That's a great one. That, and I'd like some buttered peas.
Buttered peas.
Oh, I love peas, but I don't eat a whole lot of peas because of gout situations. I don't think they're a huge trigger like they used to be. So I can't eat them every once in a while. I love peas. Anyway, there you go. Fried chicken, hash brown casserole, buttered peas, and for dessert, we'll have a little sliver of lemon icebox pie.
Okay.
I mean, why a little sliver? I'd be like, give me a whole fucking pie.
Wait, it's my last meal, right?
Yeah.
I'll take the whole pie. If I just sit here and just, it won't matter.
Yeah, exactly right.
So, yeah, and I want a half. I want the entire half of the fried chicken. I want them to tear the chicken in half. I want the entire half chicken breaded.
Okay.
And then fried. And I'll eat the entire half chicken. Go.
I love that.
Yeah. What was the first case that got you into true crime or interested in that?
Okay, let's see. Probably.
Like mine was OJ, and then hers was John Bonet.
John
right?
Bonet.
Yeah. I used to stay in at recess when I was in 6th grade and watch the trial with my teacher.
I'll tell you.
I'm amazed that your teacher.
I'll tell you, it could be a lot of them at the same time.
Yeah.
It could be a lot of cases at the same time. I don't want to monopolize. I don't want to take up too much time, but when we were kids, we went to visit my aunt and uncle out in New Mexico, and my aunt had this book called Blood Letters and Bad Men.
Oh.
It's a big, thick, and I've got a copy of it at home. It's a great, big, thick, like encyclopedia of criminals.
Oh, wow.
Going back to the 1700s, 1800s. Oh. We're talking about horse thieves and cattle rustlers, and then on up into, gangsters of the 20s, and then serial killers.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot. I learned about a lot of serial killers I'd never heard of through that book.
Oh,
and
check that out.
I was fascinated by it. I was young too. Couple that with, I got familiar with that book about the same time as the Manson case.
Yeah.
Kind of blew up with TV movies and Helter Skelter coming out, which I read when I was 12. So I'm going to go with
That's a good movie.
Probably the Manson case.
Yep.
It just kind of edges the Blood Letters of Bad Men book, so I'm going to have to go with the Manson case.
That's a good one.
And it was terrifying. That's still terrifying.
That's still terrifying.
That's still a
Absolutely.
horror movie.
Yeah.
That's still a horror movie.
Yeah.
So the Manson case, yeah.
Now,
we were just talking about, was that the one that we were thinking about doing for our 100th episode?
Yep.
Was Charles Manson.
Yeah.
That's
a good one.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
I still think we're going to have to do it.
He was from Kentucky, too.
Mm-hmm. Motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
What would your serial killer nickname be? Now, you know how the media gives people nicknames.
You mean like Son of Sam for Berkowitz?
Yeah.
And
like,
the
what do you
Night
think yours
Strangler?
would be? Something tall.
The
You guys don't
Hillside-
know this,
you
but
need something
Spencer's
tall.
The
like,
Hillside Strangler?
you're like 8'7". How tall are you, Spencer?
I'm 6'5".
See, to us, it feels like 8'7".
My serial killer name?
Yes.
Would be Bloody Bigfoot.
Yes.
Okay, now first of all,
That's a
it
good
sounds like I've It sounds like I've had that planned.
I was like,
It sounds like I've been waiting for someone to ask me that. That's not the case. But when you said that just popped into my head.
It's perfect.
it's a great one.
Yeah.
I'm proud of that.
It's Bloody Bigfoot because I would leave. I guess I would, because there was no, okay. I couldn't get around
love
them. Right
this.
now, I'm holding up my feet. Right now,
They're
I
huge.
could not get around the fact that I have size 15 shoes. So
Yeah, that's
I
kind of
either-
a giveaway at a crime
I
scene.
either just lean into that and accept the nickname and just evade the police the entire time, or I wear shoes that are 3 sizes too small, terribly uncomfortable, and leave misleading footprints.
Oh my God, you just gave murderers a new idea. Like, that's the smartest thing I think I've ever heard, just wearing shoes that were either too...
Oh, gosh.
Right?
Cut that out there.
Right? Like either big,
that part
big
out.
too small, I think is better because nobody can be like running
Oh, you
around
know
like
what?
a
I knew I would do
scuba
that.
shoes.
I
Scuba
knew I would
shoes.
give the wrong people the wrong idea.
There was one that they did
I
where
watched too much Columbo.
the girl wore bigger shoes, but they could tell where her weight was put in the shoes. So then they figured out that it wasn't. They were like, well, that's not
Good
the
on
shoe
them.
size.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love detection.
Yeah.
I loved. We were watching, like, again, when I was a kid, we watched cop shows. There was
Oh,
a cop
yeah.
show. There was a cop show on every 3 seconds.
Law and Order,
And we-
best.
Law and Order. Okay, that came later. That came when I was an adult. But and I think I leaned into Law and Order heavily because of my cop show experience when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And Law and Order changed the game. Yes.
They really did.
I
My
love
parents-
detection. I love watching because that's really authentic.
I love
Yeah.
Christopher Maloney. Hello, Stapler.
Oh my gosh! And then he went bald, and I was like, dude, I didn't know you could
See,
get
y'all
hotter.
talking about SVU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and I grew up on, and when I grew up, but I mean,
Right.
I was watching the original for a decade before that even came out.
Yes.
Wow, I feel like that's. I don't know. I always remember Stabler and what's her wonderful name?
What, Olivia
Mariska
Benson?
Hargitay?
Yeah. She does
Yeah.
a lot of work. Good work.
She is wonderful.
She's a gem.
And I remember my mom would always watch it. My mom has always been obsessed with true crime, and she's literally
Mm-hmm.
the reason that I was into. I can definitely say my mom is the reason I got
Well,
into
yeah,
true
our
crime.
whole family
Yeah.
really was fascinated by it.
Yeah.
My dad thinks there's something dark in me for it. Like 100%. Every time my dad knows about this podcast, he's like, I think there's something dark in you for that. And I'm like, Dad, it's a whole thing. Like
Yeah.
a whole bunch of other people.
I'm not the only one, Dad.
There's not like
God.
5 people listening, I swear. Like people are into this. We want to know. We want to know. Thanks,
funny.
Dad.
Yeah. Okay. So this was Brooklyn. This was your question, actually. If you were going to go to jail, what would
yeah.
you be charged with?
Me?
Like, why
Yeah.
would you go to prison?
Like
Better.
What?
if you were going to break the law, what law do you think it would be?
Yes.
if I was a
hypothetically.
bad person and I did
Yes.
something
Yeah.
deliberately?
If you're hypothetically going to do something bad.
Mine was always money laundering, for sure. Like if I'm going to do some shit, I'm laundering fucking
Yeah.
money.
I said,
No one look
I
at
don't want to kill anybody.
yeah.
Right.
So that's out.
What if you're like, I've just been really violent for a long time? I think that would be murder.
I thought you'd never ask. I would want to be Dexter,
I think it
but
would
not
probably
kill
be.
him.
I think it would
Right.
be. White collar crime is what?
Like money laundering.
Money laundering.
That's what I thought.
Theft.
Mine will be a white collar thing, something like forgery,
Yeah.
embezzlement, something like that. Figuring out a way to get money,
Yeah.
move money around. I watch a lot of heist shows too.
Me too. You know what? You're so right.
Those
I
are
watched
good ones.
almost words. They're not coming to me. So many heist shows as well, and I'm like, if I was smart enough, which I'm not saying I'm not because I haven't tried to
Yeah.
rob a bank. I feel like through hard work and dedication, you can do anything.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'd be like a bank robber for sure. I'm gonna throw away the money laundering. That was my fucking that one show that I watched forever.
Yeah.
The one that's on the golly gee willikers with Sexy Bateman, Jason Bateman.
Oh, Ozark?
Yes, that was
Yeah.
my
I love
Ozark era.
Ozark. Oh,
yeah.
my
Now I'm
jam.
over in my heist era. That's what I would do. I'm gonna rob a
It would be
bank.
something like that. I wouldn't want anybody to get killed.
Right.
But if you're on Ozark, you can't help that.
No.
But but it would be something like that because they were good at that.
Yeah.
They were really good at that.
Yeah. You
I would
watch
do
The
that
Bird
money.
family was really good at that.
Yeah, I think I would do like Dexter, but not kill them, just like slightly inconvenience bad people all the time.
How
like,
fascinating was Dexter's
How would you go to jail
whole
for
scheme?
slightly inconveniencing?
No, I wouldn't go to jail. I just wanted to say what I would do. Oh. Yeah, that's what I would
I was
do.
like, what's that? If you're going to go to jail, what would you do? And you're
Dexter
like, I
would go
would
to jail.
slightly inconvenience
yeah.
bad people. I'm
Oh,
like, I
yeah.
don't think you go to jail for that,
Go
or a
take
lot of
all-
Karens would be in jail.
Oh, yeah. Go take all of their left shoes so they have no shoe. Like, just stupid shit like that.
All right. Are we
Yeah.
ready to hop into the story? Like the Easter fucking bunny? Or do we have more do we have more questions?
What about the Easter Bunny?
What about
I don't know.
these
I just said hop into the story.
I hate the Easter Bunny.
Your
Why?
feelings about it?
What?
Why?
Creeps me out. The Easter Bunny just gives me the creeps. It's really a visceral situation. I'm not kidding. A rabbit. It's it just gives it weird,
Yeah.
visceral. Ooh.
So no mall photos.
No,
for you
so
and
I
Tom?
do not
Okay.
like 7 foot tall rabbits.
I get that. I totally get that.
Who would?
Right? It is weird.
A real rabbit that's 7 foot tall. It's not a real rabbit, but the Easter Bunny costumes just kind of creep me out.
Yeah, they're kind of weird. They are.
They are. They kind of creep me out.
I can get on that
So anyway,
bandwagon.
you were just saying Easter Bunny. You weren't saying we're going to talk about the Easter
No,
Bunny. I'm
no.
sorry. I digressed big time.
Do we have more questions? I was just checking because we've had our 15 minutes of fun.
Our 15 minutes. There's just one more. It'll just
Okay,
take a
let's
minute.
do it.
And I'm
Let's
actually
do it.
really curious about this one for him.
Okay.
Okay. So what would your porn name be? Hear me out. Because it's your first pet and then the street that you grew up on. What was it, your first pet?
Mine is Sam Dalehaven.
Yes. And then mine's
There's a little
Shorty.
beagle named Brownie. that my sister got because she was in the Brownies.
And what street did you grow up on?
Sunrise Drive, so it'd be Brownie Sunrise.
Brownie.
Brownie Sunrise.
Wait a minute. Why is that one actually really good?
Sounds like a dirty sex position or something.
Yeah. It definitely sounds like there's shit involved.
Like Dirty
For
Sanchez, Brownie Sunrise.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't work out too well.
or it works out too well.
Or it works out too well. You're
I like
right.
that.
Mine's Shorty Polk, but yours is way better.
Okay, Brownie Sunrise. It is.
Sure.
No.
The Drive at 5 with Brownie
I don't
Sunrise.
think if you put that, over the title, anybody's going to watch. But anyway,
I mean, I am clicking play because I want to know.
I'm intrigued. Oh, that just made me happy.
That's a good
That's
one.
funny.
That is probably the title of the episode.
And I think it's
we had a dog named Jose, Corky, and then Chuckles too.
either way, the sunrise is.
Yeah.
Sunrise makes
Brownie
it.
Sunrise.
Brownie makes it perfect.
Yeah.
Brownie is what makes me feel like
Brownie
it's
Sunrise.
dirty. I don't know why brownie's dirty to me, but it's dirty.
But it also could be a really nice brunch dessert.
You're
Yeah.
right.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Or sprinkle in some
I'm just trying to.
other
I'm trying to
treats.
steer us away from the toilet.
Trying to not have Brooklyn say, it reminds me of shit more.
I know I'm over here like, don't say butthole. Don't say
Don't say
butthole.
Butthole. Shit. 2 girls in a cup. Okay. As we hop off of that once more, like the Easter Bunny, what story are we talking about today?
We are talking about a situation that occurred when I was a child.
Ooh.
When I was in 3rd or 4th grade, mid 70s. And I'm pretty sure it was 75. I don't know what the tenure was, if that's the word. But for 1 year, my dad was deputy coroner in Davis County.
That is your dad.
Yeah, he was a licensed mortician and undertaker.
What?
Yeah.
So have you seen a dead body before?
Did you look?
Oh yeah, he was a mortician undertaker down here at Dave's funeral.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for years. Until he retired, and then even after that, he was forced into retirement. But even after that, he still came back and did things for him, like drove the hearse to pick up bodies, or drove family car to pick up that sort of thing.
Wow.
But in mid 70s, for a year he was the deputy coroner. I've got his badge. I've still got his badge. I'm glad I found it too, because that's really cool that I found that.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was deputy coroner. So there was a case involving a house fire, and 2 members of this one family were killed. And I don't really want to go into names.
Yeah.
Although all the principal actors in the situation are no longer with us.
Okay.
But a name's a name, and it goes,
Yeah.
it stays
Yeah.
around.
Still small town.
Yeah, so-
still small town.
Yeah.
And this is
Correct.
all from where
So
we
anyway,
live.
there's
So
a
I
house
understand
fire,
that.
and there were 2 members of the same family who were killed in the house fire. So Dad, through their investigation, unearthed enough to determine that it was homicide, that the fire was set deliberately.
Oof.
Yeah. So the man was arrested, charged, and convicted. And somehow, yeah.
Sorry. So the man was the other person who it was the family man.
Yes, he was.
And
He
so
was
2
the head of the
people.
household.
Okay, and the 2 people that died, was it the wife and
The wife and the daughter.
The wife and the daughter. Okay.
The daughter.
Do we know the age of the daughter?
No, I do not know.
Okay.
Do not
I'm just
know.
like, is this a 2-year-old or is this a 14-year-old?
No,
At the end of the day,
no,
it sucks
no.
either way. I'm just
Yeah.
curious.
No, from what Dad said, he never said the age, but I was gathering from that it wasn't a young child, but it wasn't a teen either, like maybe 10,
Okay.
something like that. 10,
They didn't
11,
burn
so-
alive, right? Like we're going to hope it was at least smoke inhalation because it's.
All I know is that what he revealed, and yes,
The goal
of the
is
2
to,
horrible
Yes.
ways to die,
horrible
yes,
ways, I'm hoping it was.
And smoke inhalation is preferable. Certainly.
I've always said, I was like, if I'm stuck in a fiery situation, I'm taking the deepest breaths of my life.
Yes,
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna
until
hope.
you just
Yeah.
But anyway, so I don't know what the rules are about letting convicts make phone calls. I don't know if they were back then. I'm not sure how they are now. But back then, this man called my dad's house after he was incarcerated. Called my dad's house.
How
It's
the
our
fuck?
house. It was our house.
How to get your phone book? I guess. How?
Yeah,
I mean,
we were
that's
in the
how
phone
everyone
book.
got it. Yeah,
No.
everyone got phone numbers from the phone book. That's wild.
Yes, millennials. Yes, millennials. There used to be this thing called the phone. No, I know
phone
you know.
book
I know you
is-
know what a phone book is. But when the phone books come out now, they're like 6 pages.
Yeah, and
'Cause
5 of them are ads.
Yeah, because
so.
nobody has landlines anymore.
Yeah.
But back then, everybody was in the phone book.
Yeah.
I didn't. My parents didn't know anybody was unlisted, and the phone books were thick.
Oh
And it
yeah,
was a
I
big-
remember getting my
Yes.
friends' phone numbers from the phone book.
Sure,
I do too.
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
Oh, the new phone books are out! Yay!
And you
know, that
remember
sort of
by their
thing.
address because it showed their
They
address
looked
too,
us
didn't
up.
it? And you're like, oh yeah, I remember that they live on Joyce.
Yeah.
That's
Well, Dad
the right
was a-
house.
That's so
That
weird.
feels
to think
very
of-
the phone, the
Right.
address. Man, it must have been so easy to stalk people back
But
in the
since
day.
Dad was public servant
Yeah.
at the time, his name, was public, and he looked him up, found the phone number, called him, and threatened to kill every one of us.
What the
What?
hell?
Wait.
Yeah, he threatened to kill every one of us. He threatened to kill all of us, Mom, Dad, my sister, and me, because he knew through the trial,
Right.
because Dad was had to give testimony.
Yeah.
He through the trial that what Dad revealed, what Dad discovered was the
Right.
reason he got convicted. Yeah, I mean.
It's just that's. I don't know. I guess in like movies, I hate to be that person,
Mm-hmm.
but whenever I'm thinking like movies and books and things, it's never the coroner they go after; it's the cop.
Yeah,
Or the investigator, or the detective, and like to
yeah.
stop and be like. The coroner. I'm like, why haven't people been attacking more coroners? 'Cause it does
Yes,
make
because it's the
sense.
coroner who's going to give the damning evidence on the
Right.
stand,
Yeah.
and the defendant is going to sit there and see who it is. Well, anyway, he spent the rest of his life. Like I said, he's no longer alive. He never got out. We were never harmed.
Did
never,
he call again?
No, he never called again. And Dad told me this. Dad didn't tell me when it happened because I was, like I said, 9.
Yeah.
So he didn't tell me what happened.
Why not? No, I'm kidding.
I want you to
right.
grow up fast.
But he didn't.
Stop
But,
you
but
to
he
be a
didn't
man,
wait till
Spence.
he didn't wait till my adulthood. I was like in high school, like a junior or senior in high school when he told me this happened, or maybe even earlier. It could have been anyway, because I was able to handle it by the time I was 15, 16, 17 years old. But at 9, I'm like,
Shit, I'd still be freaked out at 15.
I saw.
Like, now what now?
I watched the Helter Skelter TV movie
Yeah.
when I was 12 years old, and had nightmares when I was 12 because I thought he was going because he was up for parole the year that TV movie came out, Charles Manson.
Oh, shit.
And I thought he was going to get out, come to Kentucky, and kill all of us. So I was impressionable enough at 12 to think that Manson was going to get out and come straight for me. So that's a good. There's a good reason. So at 9, it was smart that Dad didn't tell me about this
wonder
guy
what
here in
you're-
town.
Did he like start sliding in with like, hey, so don't get into vans with candy if you see a weird like can you remember and like tuck back into that like filing cabinet in the back of your brain and like think if your dad sat you down and was trying to have you be more vigilant maybe?
You know how we got more, and this is not a conversation he would not have had because of all the different types of situations
Yeah.
that he encountered, not just as deputy coroner, but as mortician taking death calls. I mean, we had a company phone at the house,
Oh wow. Ooh,
separate
fancy.
lines. So when he was on call, he'd get a death call. He'd go out all hours of the night. So
Could you imagine, though, like back then having ringtones? I wonder what his ringtone would be on his corner phone.
it would have been
Don't.
the theme from Quincy.
Oh, that's a good one. I would have thought
Are you
yeah.
two familiar with the show Quincy?
Yeah.
From the 70s and early 80s, because you shouldn't be, because it's older than you.
it was my dad.
I
My
am
parents, we didn't.
But
Number one,
it would have been your
old
jam,
shit.
because that was a really good medical examiner series.
Yeah.
It was really good.
I don't
ahead
remember
of its
who
time how
watched it in
detailed
my
they
house,
were.
but somebody did because I remember it.
Assuming your mom.
Well, we were big
probably.
I am
because
too.
of his line of work, and my mom was a nurse too. I mean,
Oh, this
So-
is a sexy
Wow.
little couple.
there was
Right?
a lot of types. There's a lot of types of shows that we got into, but we kind of got far afield. What was the original question?
Oh, did your dad ask you or start teaching you or making sure you're more aware?
As far as sitting down, listen, because of their lines of work, Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
Our dinner time conversation was unlike
That's
most
what I
dinner time
wanna know.
conversations
I
because
bet.
we would hear. I mean, what I would consider now, and that bothered me. It didn't bother me. Graphic descriptions of things that he had seen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like beheadings and stuff like that. Here, pass the green beans. So I mean,
wonder-
we Mom and Dad, almost through osmosis practically, educated us on the realities of life, the death being a huge reality of life early on. So, it's nothing that's been super shocking. So we were kind of accustomed to it, growing up because of what Dad did for work. So as far as that's concerned, I'll be honest with you. The John Wayne Gacy story is what did that for me, because that really exploded when I was in my teens.
Oh, my.
Yeah,
I can't imagine being a
Spencer.
The John Wayne Gacy story exploded when I was in my teens, and his victims were my age.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
His victims were my age. So, I started getting into the news in '79 with the Iran hostage crisis, because we're all glued to the TV, because every night, when we didn't have 24-hour news.
Yeah.
Every night, at 6 o'clock when the news came on, up in the top right corner, and it would stay there the entire newscast, day 300, day 312, day 334, that the hostages were still, when it became clear that they were going to be there a long time, they would put the day number up at the top right corner.
Wow.
And so that's when I got
hate
into
to
news.
Be this person.
So getting into
situation?
news, getting into watching the news when I was like 13, 14, then everything else came along, like, serial killers really became...
They were thriving.
They were exploding in the late 70s and 80s, and then the John Wayne Gacy story came out, and that, and the book again, Blood Letters and Bad Men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I read about some people that I'd never heard of. That book
We're
had
getting
like...
that book.
The book, had like the
down.
Al Capones and the John Dillingers and the Jesse James and, and all those stories. But it also had people I've never heard of, and those stories were a lot creepier. And so I learned from those stories how to protect myself.
So your parents
and
didn't
also
even
the
have
movie
to...
Copycat with Sigourney Weaver and Holly Hunter with the knockoff line that I'll never forget. Don't park next to vans, as she's signing an autograph.
That valid fucking statement.
Listen,
that's true.
I don't park next to vans. And what's funny, the other night we parked next to a van that was solid white, didn't have windows. And I'm like, yeah, but we're adults. But still, I couldn't believe a stereotypical van, the kind that they were talking about in that movie. And the kind that you just think about when you think about stuff like that was sitting right next to my car.
We were watching a movie last night, and it was literally a white van.
Yeah.
Which is the ritual killer anyway. But I was like, oh, another fucking white van. How are people not paying attention to these damn white vans?
The people who watch you on the regular know the movie Copycat. Have you seen the movie Copycat? Sigourney Weaver, Holly Hunter came out in '95. Oh, you both would love it.
You're giving us so many.
No, you both would love that movie. That's
homework.
a terrific. That's a really good serial killer movie. That and Seven, and those are really excellent serial killer movies.
God, I want to rewatch Seven.
They came out the same. They came out within a month of each other. That's how come Copycat's box office wasn't as good, because it came out a month after Seven. And I always thought that was unfair, because Copycat is just about as good a movie as Seven is. It's an excellent movie.
Yeah. Ooh. I agree. Now,
if you literally don't know anything about Copycat,
I don't know
I'm not going to tell you, because the motif of the killer is so original.
Okay, good. Don't tell me yes.
And the reason is that the whole plot of the movie, not the resolution or anything like that, is given in descriptions of the film. But if you don't know, the MO of the serial killer in the movie ahead of time, it'd be so much better. So,
oh my gosh. Okay, so don't watch the trailer.
Don't read.
Just press play.
Look,
yes.
You got it from me. It's a terrific movie.
Okay.
And you'll get a kick out of early internet scenes, like from '95.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Some dial-up times. So I hate to be that person, but you had mentioned the hostage situation, and you were saying that it showed the days in the corner.
In 79 and 80 and 81, yeah.
Act like I don't know what that is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. In 1979.
Did you know?
No, I did not know.
Oh,
In 1979, six Americans who were working at the U.S. Embassy in Iran were taken hostage by the Iranians, by the group that overtook. I can't think of the name, but they were led by the Shah of Iran.
Okay.
And they were held hostage for 444 days.
Whoa.
444 days. So that's how come at the beginning of every newscast they would put up in the top right corner, day 100. Did
they live?
Huh?
Did they live?
Yes. Thanks to the Canadians, the Canadian embassy helped us, and we got them out. And actually, they landed on our soil the day Reagan was inaugurated. Ronald Reagan was inaugurated in '81. They were like, okay, we don't want to mess with Ronald Reagan, so let him go.
Whoa.
That's what it looked like, because they were on our soil on January 20th, 1981.
Wow.
So, yes, it didn't occur to me you might not know that, but that's when I started paying attention to news, was the hostage crisis.
Wow.
That would be scary to watch, too.
I mean, it's now every minute of every day.
Yeah.
We just don't watch it.
Yeah, interesting. And 22 years later, someone who was my age in 2001 that I was in 79 might regard 9/11 the same way.
Yeah.
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 That is one thing you can think back and remember where you were. Everybody does.
Gosh, you guys might have been that age at 9/11.
I was in high school.
Yeah.
I was in middle school.
Okay.
I'm younger.
Oh, God, suck it.
then you at 9/11 were my age at the hostage crisis. Pinnacle.
Man.
Yeah.
I remember watching and just not understanding. We were taking our I-STEP, which is the Indiana
Like the
standardized
standardized
testing, yeah. And they were like, we need to stop. And somebody came in looking sick as shit, and they pulled like the TV out, and they were like, stop your test. And we were like, this has to be so intense if you're stopping the Indiana state standardized testing that apparently tells you whether or not you're going to be smart, so that we can all feel stupid for the rest of our lives.
That's alarming.
It was terrifying.
It has to be
Just that.
It has to be a big enough deal to stop that.
Yeah. Whoa. And then they pushed in the thing, and right when they turned it on, and we were watching it for about 2 seconds before the second plane hit. Mm-hmm. And then we were all like, what is happening? We just didn't really understand. And then that's whenever the building fell. And I was like, they always say there's only certain moments in your life that you remember everything that happened, and that was the one that did.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I was watching live when the buildings fell. I didn't see the initial, because when the first plane went in, people thought it was an accident.
Yep. And that's why I didn't get it. I was like, so somebody accidentally ran into that. So crazy. And then the second one happened.
A horrible accident, but they thought it was an accident.
Yeah.
But then after the second one, that's when I got the phone call from my mother. She said, get up, we're under attack. And I'm like, oh, my Lord. My mom doesn't go off half cocked like that. So I put my shoes on and got ready. Anyway, and then went in there, and that's when I saw the tower start to fall. It was awful. Damn. But the Iran hostage crisis was not 3,000 people dead.
Right.
But that was an enormous, life-altering news story. Because that's, I can't be the only teenager, 13, 14-year-old who started paying attention to the news because of that story.
Right.
Yeah.
That's whenever our cherries are popped and we start to realize that life fucking sucks and that there's bad people out there doing bad shit all the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did your parents meet, as I completely pivot over to the side, did your parents meet like on the job?
Yeah.
That's cute.
They exactly did. You're totally exactly right.
Did your dad have a quirky cop friend? Because that'd be cool.
A quirky cop friend?
Yeah.
Dad had a lot of cop friends.
I feel like he should.
That's a movie we would watch.
Yeah, 100%. I think that'd be really cool.
Dad had a lot of cop friends. He really did. He knew a lot of people in the department. Mom was a nurse. Mom was, she was working in the emergency room. It was 1956.
Where they were smoking cigarettes in the
You
ER.
could smoke cigarettes anywhere you want to back in 1956, including in the waiting room at the emergency room at the hospital.
It's so crazy.
And he was driving an ambulance. He was an ambulance driver,
so
and he came
hot.
in, and that's when they met.
I feel like that's just a hot, sexy story.
1956.
Power couple.
Yeah.
I love that.
I do too. My friend Jenna, who probably does not listen to this podcast, but I think her husband was an EMT or something, and she was a pilot that would do like whenever they'd come get you from a bad car accident, take you to another hospital. She was the nurse. Yeah. And he was a cop, and so he had dropped somebody off one day, like after a bad car accident, and they met and they fell in love. And I was like, why are you guys so hot?
That's cute.
I know. I'm like, Heather's like, that's cute. I'm like, that's so hot.
That's so Lifetime movie.
Right? I think it's so cool. I'm like, why are you guys so cool? I came back from Miami and had dinner with them, and I was like, I feel like a loser.
I have to tell it's funny because I would never watch one of those Lifetime movies like it is a gazillion years. But, I guess they're not all, that's not all, that would never happen. Obviously, that sort of thing does happen. It's funny.
You're like, they seem so unrealistic, but then again, aren't all of our lives unrealistic?
Yeah.
Like, who knows?
Yeah, you really could. You could smoke anywhere. In fact, the high schools. When I was in high school, there were smoking sections. There were smoking
in high school,
not inside the building.
They had them outside.
Oh, yeah.
There were smoking areas at the ends of wings. For students who smoked and for teachers who smoked.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so funny. You take a math test
just the
and
whole,
go out there with Mr. Smith and be like, you got a Marlboro? He's like, yeah, good job. You got a B. Like, that's so weird smoking cigs with your teachers.
Also, way back in the day, in the 50s and 60s, I wasn't there, but you can see this in old movies. They would have really nice cigarette cases.
Yes.
Cigarette boxes they would put on the tables. And they would offer you a cigarette like they'd offer you something to drink. Like cigarette? Just open and that's how common smoking was back then. So
right.
Certainly they weren't going to stop you from smoking in a hospital room.
The very first episode of Mad Men, the doctor
thought.
is in between a woman's legs. He's a gynecologist, and he literally he's ripping a cig and putting it on the thing, and then like
No.
Pause deep.
Yes, no, that's right. And you know, that was partly that scene was there to show how.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Is it
It's
because
the
I
truth.
said pause deep?
Listen, when it comes to smoking, Mad Men was super authentic, and
Yeah.
they did that scene. They did that scene as part satire and as part authentic for authenticity, because that's just the way it was. But they also wanted to show that that's the way it was, and they wanted to use an extreme situation of a guy.
Well, that sounds
Yeah.
pretty extreme to
smoking
me.
a cigarette while he's
That
examining
came
a
out
patient.
the year I quit smoking, and so I couldn't watch it. I saw one episode and was like, I'm going to start smoking cigarettes again. I cannot do it.
Oh,
It was
do you know what they use?
Can't do it.
You know what they use?
No.
I was watching an interview.
Good to
around-
know it wasn't actual cigarettes.
No, they're not. They're cigarettes per se,
Right.
But there's no tobacco in them. They're clove cigarettes. There's no tobacco in there. There's like they're like herbs. And I was watching something on YouTube. It was something called the Hollywood Reporter Roundtable, and they had all these. They had 6 actresses who were in like big movies right now. Like critically acclaimed movies and big movies. Like Margot Robbie was there, and Annette Bening, and Carey Mulligan, who's in the movie Maestro about Leonard Bernstein, and she's a heavy smoker. Her character Felicia,
of course, she's
Bernstein.
a heavy smoker. How are you
Felicia
not a heavy
Bernstein
smoker?
was a heavy smoker, and they talked about they've all done period pieces where smoking was required,
Yeah.
and so they talked about the smoking, and she said yes, there's a lot of smoking. She goes in those, and Emma Stone asked her, said, clove cigarettes, right? She goes, yes. She goes, don't they give you a headache? She goes, they give you a terrible headache.
Oh, God. There was a guy that used to come into the bar when I was in college.
That sucks.
And he would smoke clove cigarettes, and I smoked at the time. So he's like, try one. It burnt my throat.
Well, it sounds like it would burn. It's clove.
And I was a smoker at the time. So the fact that.
I'm a fucking twat.
Yeah,
I'm over here like, that should I be putting up in my hand for Christmas? Like,
yeah, but don't
clove?
light it on fire and huff it because it hurts.
I wouldn't.
I can't imagine.
You know, now they have, so Travi Pads, my boo bear, he
Probably
is
strong.
trying not to dip. He quit dipping at the end of the day. But now they created a dip that is, instead of tobacco, it's tea.
What?
It's tea leaves. Like it's yeah. And so they do something in it. Like I guess shredded tea was the closest consistency to tobacco.
Oh, it would smell just like tobacco.
And yeah.
It would smell
and he
just
goes,
like
it's
tobacco.
just the same, except for I'm using tea. And I'm like, wow, so it's not addictive. There's no chemicals in it. And I was like, huh.
Just caffeine, too. So.
I mean, I don't know if he's
Like
using
a trace amount. No, I'm just saying.
Oh,
like,
yeah. I guess. I don't know. There's
It's the
caffeine free in
worst thing
tea.
is caffeine. I think it's fine.
Right.
Smoking also makes everything look a lot more hard boiled. If you watch, and I think about and well, I mean, like film noir and crime drama and
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Detectives stooping down over a dead body with a cigarette hanging out their mouth and the ashes falling off.
Yes.
Well, that's how I pictured. I every time I think about my dad investigating that arson case.
Yeah.
I can see him because he was smoking then. He quit smoking cold turkey in '77. He was a heavy smoker, quit cold for his health. Needed to. I can see him now. Stoop down over investigating these horribly burned up bodies. And I can just see. I don't mean to be. You know what I'm saying.
This is a true crime podcast. We try to be
I
gruesome.
was gonna say.
The
I'm
G
sure
word
they
happens.
probably heard a lot worse than what we talked about today.
Yes.
But but I could just see him. Yeah, I can see him stooping there with that cigarette hanging out of his mouth, and it just everybody smoked. Everybody smoked.
Everybody
Used to
smokes.
be able to smoke on a plane. I think I'd rather smell Marlboros in that guy's butthole.
Smoking sections. That used to crack me up. Like over here was the smoking section, over here wasn't. I'm like, well, where's the wall?
I know there'd
Can
be
you
no wall.
believe that the airports now, they don't have any smoking? Like, those little areas that you would go in and it would suck all the air out and you'd have to chase it to go try to find it. And you'd walk out and you just smell like 800 cigarettes and you try to rip as many as you can because you're just like, I got to get nicotine in. This is the only place I can do it. Just go through 4 in a row. And then you come out and you're like disheveled and winded and you're just trash. And then one day I remember flying back. It was from Miami whenever I was, a cigarette smoker, hiding it from my parents like that ever fucking mattered. Like my dad knew. Come on, I smell like a damn dirty ashtray. Of course my dad knew. My gosh. But anyway, then one day you're walking around. I remember the first time I realized they didn't have them anymore because I was still a smoker and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm going to die here. I'm going to die right here.
Cop.
You couldn't smoke anymore.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Something just came to me. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I
Tell
really
me.
didn't. Something just came.
I want to know.
I just remembered the man who who committed those murders
Yeah.
and threatened my dad was a cop. It just occurred. I just now remembered he was a cop.
You
That
buried
is-
the lead.
That is quite.
Well, I buried it because I'd forgotten that part of it. He was.
That's
a
a pretty
cop.
tantalizing part.
He was a cop. It just now the second hit me. I remember now he was a
Which
cop.
is why another reason why you probably
I'm not saying
kept the
anything.
names
Kept the
private.
names,
yeah.
I just assumed. It's been almost 50 years ago.
So how did a
believe
cop
me.
survive in jail? And that
I
is
bet
that
they
must
beat
have been
his
brutal.
ass.
But
Well, I don't know. I mean, sometimes when they
now it explains why he didn't go after the other cop.
were
Yeah.
And he
sentenced,
went after,
Yeah.
sometimes when they sentence an officer, they
put him in protective custody.
segregate them or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, literally just this morning, before I came here, watched an episode of Law and Order where a sheriff was the guilty party.
Oof.
And the only deal that they offered him was, the opportunity to spend the next 25 years of his life in a segregated cell. They weren't going to cut a sentence.
Yeah.
They just said, we'll put you in a segregated cell. So
Here's my thought. May I?
Yes.
How bad at your job can you be if you're a detective cop person and you can't get away with it? Like,
That's
if
a
I'm a
valid
cop and my job is to solve mysteries, how the fuck is it that I wasn't bright enough to not trick the coroner or trick the,
that's probably what made him so mad.
That's what I'm saying.
Because
Yeah.
he was probably, being a cop, was probably fairly certain that
He was gonna
going to get away
it.
with this. And then, Dad got up on the stand and said, plop. No, you're not.
I can literally tell that you poured gas here.
Because as
I
a
have no
cop, he would know he'd never be able to get out of jail
Yeah.
to do anything like he said he did in the phone call. Anyway, that's, it's a good point, but, and he thought he had all his bases covered.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, my whole family into detective shows. And I know people say, well, is it really like that? I'm like, well, CSI's not, because they, they
Oh, no.
CSI's fun, but they solve everything too quickly. But some of the other detective shows are, a lot more accurate. And my whole family, big Columbo fans. So we always had an eye for like detection and like, that's not really. Mom loved true crime. Dad loved true crime. My sister does.
I hope
Yeah.
your dad did. That would be.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I mean not just because of work, because it was fascinating. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
my dad never read anything except Thomas Noguchi's book.
Man.
Thomas Noguchi was a medical examiner in Hollywood.
Oh, wow.
And he was like the medical examiner for the stars. Thomas Noguchi did autopsies on several Hollywood stars. And
How does one get that title?
and Dad read his book. And I'm like, that must have been some book. He must have really wanted to do that because Dad just wasn't a reader. I mean, except the newspaper.
yeah.
Right.
Dad literally read two newspapers cover to cover every night before he went to bed, but didn't read books. Anyway,
He
so
was well
Thomas
versed on
Noguchi's book, and I wish, I
current
really wish
events.
I had the book. I can't think of the name of it now. I could, if I looked it up, I could probably, if I saw the cover, I'd recognize it. But Dad immersed himself into that field, not
Yeah.
just because he did
I
it.
love that. Good
you
for
know.
him for being good at his job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just, Dad was always going to be good at whatever job he did.
Oh.
But
What was your
that was
dad's
just
name?
him. What?
What was your dad's name?
Jim Brister.
And what was your mama's name?
Sue Brister.
I feel like Jim and Sue, we just needed to know those names.
Jim and Sue.
I
Yeah.
feel like they were important.
Jim and Sue.
I feel like even with all of our true crime prowess, if you will, the fact that we've covered a lot of cases and done a lot of research on them, I still don't think I could commit a murder and get rid of it or get away with it.
No.
Did you guys ever see? I want to do a story on it, but I was waiting to see if it was more tantalizing
And I
than
bring
it
up
is.
Columbo a lot, and that's what that's all about, is perfect murders.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And the podcaster who killed somebody to see what it was like.
Yeah.
A young woman, probably like 22. I think she was, oh, please nobody get shitty with me. But like, I think she was of Japanese descent or Oriental of some degree. I think I need to dig into it
I
more.
think she was Asian.
Asian,
But,
yeah. She literally killed somebody because she was so obsessed with the true crime podcast that she did. And she was like, I just want to see what it's like.
Yeah.
Like, did
that
you think it was
weird?
going to,
I'm never going to cross.
That's really weird
that is
because
so crazy.
I'm going back to the book Blood Letters and Bad Men.
Yeah, I wonder.
Someone I learned about, her name was Penny Bjorklund, and she was 19. It was 1950, it was late 50s. And she is in the book because she went and gunned down a man she never met before. She took a gun, She stood on the side of the road. Somebody picked her up. This man picked her up, and she shot him to death. She shot him while he was sitting there. She got out of the car, came around the side, shot him again, shot him several times just to see what it was like to kill someone.
Whoa.
Obviously, it was pre-podcast days because of the 1950s. But that what you just said reminded me of her.
That's wild.
She
People are
spent the rest
crazy.
of her life in jail. She was 19, so if she's still living, she's in her 80s, but I bet she's not. Anyway, I'm curious. I'm going to look her up.
I don't know. Gunning people down doesn't seem like I want to see their life come out of them type of. I don't want to sound
How
crazy.
how disturbed would you have to be?
Oh, you'd have to
just
be
to
very
shoot and
disturbed.
kill someone just to see what it's like to kill someone.
Right.
Why do you want to know what that feels like?
Yeah.
I agree.
Good grief.
But I feel like there should be like some strangulation or stabbing. I feel like unless you're close.
Penny Bjorkland.
Yeah.
You gotta be
want to
close.
shoot, go hunting or something.
Yeah. If that's what you need to shoot that annoying bird outside your window. I don't know. I'm not shooting shit. I can tell you that.
Yeah, no. I will shoot the
February
shit.
1st. February
Yeah.
1st, 1959. We're coming up on the 65th anniversary of that murder.
Oh.
Well.
Yeah, and this site, Murderpedia,
Oh, that's the
Oh,
best
that's
one.
one of
We
our
use,
faves.
we use that quite often.
They don't know if she's dead.
Murderpedia doesn't know?
They don't know if she's dead.
Oh,
It's
she's dead then.
1941 to question mark. So like I said, she'd be in her 80s.
Oh, man.
Well.
That's what that book fascinated me because I learned about people I'd never heard of who did some incredibly heinous, horrible things. Charlie Starkweather, Gertrude Benishevsky, people like that.
Oh, we have to look at
We're like-
Horrible people.
New
Horrible
story
people.
ideas. New story ideas. Well, I think.
Richard Speck.
Ooh.
Oh, I've heard of
we know
that
that
one.
one.
Yeah. Well, we heard about that because he was a mass murderer. He killed like 8 nurses, and my mom was a nurse. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Motherfucker.
Spencer, thank you so much for coming. To play
Happy to
with
do this.
us.
This is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This is a lot of
We
fun.
get to
I
play with
agree.
you at
It's a fun
work, but
topic.
now we get to play with you on the mic.
What a fun topic, too. Yes.
Well, thanks again.
Happy to do it. If y'all are a couple of sassholes, what am I?
You're an honorary sasshole.
An honorary
Am I
sasshole.
an honorary
Yes, yes, yes.
sasshole? Fantastic.
All right. We love you guys. Like, rate, review, subscribe.
You nailed it.
I sure did.
Nailed it.
All right. Let's all say bye. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.
Theodore, can I pet that dog?